How would you keep Iran without the Iranian people?
You can import a lot of. You don't have to kill them all. It's like that. There are some.
Well,
Uh,
killing them is basic. If you want to kill them all, it will enrage them to the point that they will do a mass revolt against you and topple you. So, you can see that the fact that they killed so many tens of thousands, that has already, in my opinion, ended them, right? So the reason why they didn't do this earlier, because they also believe that if they just start killing Iranian people, that would be the end of them, because people will be angry and start waging, a war against the regime, right? And if you have millions of people in the streets, even if you have, at some point, you're not going to have enough resources to basically keep them all, to suppress them all. But you're correct that the Islamic Republic has thought about this, thinking about this. I want to use this country's resources for my Islamic imperial agenda, but these people suck, right? These people are not Islamic, right? It's like at all. Like, so this has been a very tough situation for the Islamic Republic, and they try to topple the people before the people topple the regime. So they have basically bringing in mass migration from Iraq, Pakistan, and especially from Afghanistan in hundreds of thousands of numbers, getting to millions even, and trying to replace the people with more religious Shias, from Shia minority from Afghanistan, Shia minority from Pakistan, and honestly anybody from Afghanistan, as long as they are not like liberal minded like the Iranian people, and especially from, like, also from Iraq, a lot from Iraq. Not only that, just I think this year they passed a law that if you have temporary marriage with Iranian women, basically prostitution, you will be rewarded with residentship. I don't know if did you know that, Francisco? They passed this law in the parliament of the Islamic Republic, in the Majlis, saying that if you come from one of these countries, if you're Shia, a non-Iranian Shia coming to Iran, we encourage you to have sex with these basically Shia prostitutes that we have, and for the reward, we will give you permanent residentship, and a different permanent residentship, a type of permanent residentship that gives you the right to own property inside Iran. Because usually permanent residentship in Iran doesn't come with the right to own property, but this was a special class of permanent residentship that you get rewarded with, because they wanted to also have Iranian women to have their children. They wanted them to be fodder, so mixing them with the Iranian woman to basically, so they had this really evil plan to basically replace the Iranian people with Shias from other countries.
okay, I didn't know about this law, but yeah, I would try to replace the population if I were them. That's
Yeah, they were in the process of doing this. They were even bringing people from Nigeria, even. So yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, next up we have Amy and then Dijal, you are after.
I didn't really have anything to say. I was just worried because it's 4:20 now, and I didn't know if Armin had to go.
No, I'm okay.
He is out of here in 40 minutes. That's his
All
mark.
right, cool.
Okay, Dijal. You just got called a pothead. Okay, Dijal, you're next, and then my favorite uncle.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. I had a glitch. I was going to ask you, Armin. Actually, I got to regain my train of thought. Some distracted me, so just lower the list and get back to me in a moment. You would?
Okay, uncle, you're next.
Yes, thank you. To the topic of China's involvement and also the notion of providing armaments to the Iranians. And I think I'll just start with the Chinese one just to add on what was already. So there is I mentioned this earlier, but to keep this together, the Chinese, they have not really committed with military equipment of any significance. So, I mean, passing on rifles and rocket launchers is of doesn't matter in this regard. The Islamic Republic has enough of that already themselves. The weapon platforms like anti-air and stuff like that and missiles, these things take training. So it's not something that the Chinese can simply dump there. If they wanted this to work, they would have to actually have had trainers and advisors there for quite a while so that the Islamic Republic could actually use the weapons. And that would have been useful for the Chinese. So, like, I think that they're mostly posturing because if they were to actually capitalize on having, let's say, okay, the Islamic Republic is going to fall, we're going to lose this card, so let's try to get the most out of it as we can before we have the thing that really matters to us, namely Taiwan. So let's get our equipment battle tested. And getting equipment battle tested is very, very valuable. For if they were to it's like a regular investment, right? What happens early in your investment has a compound effect. And the same is a military investment. If you have to adapt a lot of with your equipment and so forth early, that's going to have compounding effect later. So that will be a rationale that will make sense for the Chinese to do. But since they have not committed prior, I am pretty sure this is mostly a posturing, because it's as soon as they try to put any equipment there, they're going to be prime targets for the Americans to strike out immediately. And putting military personnel, I mean, they could conceivably, but it is very, very unlikely. As for the arming the civilians, I get where people are coming from, but one should also note that the civilians are not trained, right? And while it may have the security forces turn at first because they're expecting the masses to be unarmed, after that point, once they have noticed that the uprising is armed, they will be just changing their pattern of engagement, and that means that they will involve a much more. They will always be ensuring that they have overwhelming force. And so that means that it will get bloodier probably. The people who are unarmed might be shielded a little bit, but those who are then armed and untrained becomes primary targets. And it's important to note that yes, you give them the ability to defend themselves, but even though they are armed, it's sort of like sending lambs to the slaughter nonetheless, because they will be very ill-equipped and trained, and it takes more preparation. So yeah, I would also be a little bit cautious about just handing weapons, because that is an additional risk to the people themselves, in addition to the weapons being handed over. So yeah, caution is advised in that regard. Thank you for letting me speak.
So when it comes to weapons to the people, I understand the concern. It's just that there's nothing more devastating than what's already happening to them. So I think being able to, you know, give the Iranian people a fighting chance after this level of slaughter that has been inflicted upon them, even if there's some risk associated with that, I think it makes sense, because there's, even if there are some danger associated with that, it cannot be as devastating as what the Islamic Republic is doing to the Iranians while they're unarmed, right? So cost benefit analysis, I think it's worth it.
I agree. A middle ground to that would be that they were provided armaments closer to the coastline, because then they could be able to call in support more easily from the Americans and Israelis in the regard that where they gain a little bit more parity. So let's say in the first round, it's just firearms. Then the Basij and the IRGC starts mobilizing and adapting accordingly. That's a good thing for the Americans and Israelis, because that makes their targets, it makes for more target-rich environment. So there might be something to that where you can get the most out of it. But of course, just to be clear, like, I'm not saying like, oh, don't give them any weapons because then they might get killed. I mean, if they're killed anyways, then yeah, of course, this is. But
Before I go, Jeffrey, I think he had some opinions on this, but Jeffrey, can you address this as well? What do you think about my opinion of, instead of moving weapons into Iran, is just find a way to get Iranian people access to where the Islamic Republic is storing its own weapons? Isn't that a more, more likely way to be able to do this successfully? Go ahead, Jeffrey.
So, yeah, you guys touched on a couple of very key issues. It's true that providing civilians weaponry there are some challenges with that, particularly regarding the training that Uncle had mentioned. That being said, one of the things you might adopt to try and minimize that is to import Ukraine's model, like how Ukraine mobilized its civilians against a much more armed, conventionally powerful force like Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state. There are some people looking at that. I actually sent that in a report to you. As far as getting the weapons in, this was talked about yesterday, and there's issues with how do you get around the IRGC air defense if you're going to do a mass airdrop. We looked at that. I actually sent that to you. If you're going to do like a land route akin to what like the Viet Cong did during the Vietnam War when they were walking a lot of people in the Ho Chi Minh Trail, over Laos and all that. I mean, that's going to be a really long logistics train, and it would probably be picked up by the IRGC and besieged. So you have to find out how would you get that. General questions are, how do you deliver weapons in mass to the brave Iranian protesters where they can use it and it makes a difference on the ground? How do you do it in a manner that circumvents the IRGC's defensive measures so you minimize attrition? How do you make sure when you do get through all that, that actually it's the people that get it, not the bad guys? And that's a very interesting solution you came up with, Armin, which is to assist Iranian protesters with taking out the security around already the weapons that are already there, the stockpiles there that are used by the besieged and the IRGC and the rest of them. The question is, how do you do that? How do you support Iranian people's ability to forcibly take those weapons? So you could locate it, then you'd have to disseminate that information to people inside Iran. They'd have to be able to probably amass enough people to overwhelm the security forces that are there and then be able to break into the place. I'm pretty sure it's under like an arms room. You might do things like use airstrikes, targeted airstrikes that use what is known as inert weapons. In other words, you take the explosives out of a bomb and you fill it with concrete, and then you use that as kind of like we did this in the first and second Gulf War, and you'd use that to break open the wall so people can go in. We actually looked at that. I think you got that as well. I can say it's being looked at. The Armin's not wrong, right? So you're not wrong, Uncle, that arming Iranian protesters will make the regime come down hard or try to coordinate their force. The point is they're already at maximum brutality now. That's kind of like what you were saying. If somebody knows that and Armin made this point, if you know that the opposing force's goal is to exterminate you, at that point, people are going to fight you with their last breath because they have nothing left to lose. It's also why Ukrainians don't care they care yet don't care if Putin introduces tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine because they know what Putin's goal is to exterminate Ukraine. They know that. He's openly said it. It's sort of like, yep, if I'm dead via, caliber missile or A bomb, either way I'm dead, I'm not going to go out on my knees. And I understand why Armin said what he said. So I guess the overall issue would be the devil's in the details, as Uncle very much pointed out. That said, the motive or relative risk assessment is very much what Armin said. So the question is, how do you resolve the disconnect between those two things?
Awesome. All right.
Okay, next we have Dajjal. Are you ready yet?
Take notes, Dajjal.
Yeah. Getting back to what I was saying about Iran and Trump's incentives to strike, and just being in the interest of his ego, and winning this would be good for his ego, which it is. I was going to say the biggest disagreement I have with Trump on this issue is the fact that he didn't allow the Israelis to take out Khamenei back in June when they have in their sights, and he was against doing it. And that's something that I've been pretty pissed off with him about ever since. But it's one of the reasons why people were worried that he wouldn't make any strikes this time. I think one thing to keep in mind, though, is I think back then what was potentially motivating that decision was the fact that he had a lot of people who were telling him basically that if this happens, he does this, we're going to get into another protracted war. It's going to be just like Iraq, and we're going to go back into the sandbox, and it's just going to be a disaster. I think he was under the impression that Iran was just another Arab Muslim country, that it wasn't going to end well. And I think he was given some really bad advice on that. I think at this point he knows better. And I think, once again, he's got every incentive to strike at this point, for reasons, they're on the ropes. And if he helps take him down, he's going to go down as a legend. He was as a great president. And it's something that he can gloat about until the sun burns out. And I think he's going to take the opportunity. So that's something I wanted to throw in there as far as everything that's been going on.
Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Trump recently mention that given that he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, he doesn't care about peace anymore? Didn't he say that?
Yes,
Okay,
he did.
he did say. So
He
it's
said
like
that.
I Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He said, I now no longer care only about peace. It will still be
Right.
predominant, but now I will do what's best for the American people. I am
Right.
basically, I am unchained. Bow before me.
Right. So he's like, I tried to become a legend because for being a peacemaker. Now
Yeah,
that that's off
yeah,
the table, I'm going to be a legend for bringing the best to bring to basically dominating in the battlefield. So
that's right.
I'm going to be known for war now instead of peace. So he's like, yeah, guys, he did say that. Ahmed said he did say
Yeah,
that. Yeah. You didn't
exactly.
give me. You should. If you wanted me to bring peace, you should have given me the Nobel Peace Prize. Now I'm just gonna bring you war.
Exactly.
Which is,
Now it sounds like Conan the Barbarian. What
yeah.
is best in life? Yeah, I
I
took it
mean,
as a
it's good.
positive sign,
I mean, I
honestly.
support that. I support this. I'm glad that he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. Now he was more likely to do something.
I agree. I'm glad he doesn't seem to be paying as much attention to to these woke right. So I think he kind of gets it now.
Yeah. So let me just read this in full. So let me finish this. So this is what he actually said. To say, considering your country, no, meaning Norway gives the Nobel Peace Prize, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Okay, that's what he said. So yeah, interesting. All right, so let's move.
He is our troller in chief. Next is Cat Lady and then D Dom, and that's the end of the list. We're going to get you out in good timing today.
Okay, nice.
Okay, I must say the name D-Dom scares me. Just saying. Okay, so I can't. I didn't mean to. Uh, you know how Trump is is making everybody's like he's like surprising all the time. He's like confusing everyone. It's like I keep looking for the missing piece that I once I see it, I'll everything will get in line. And think with me together. What if Ahmed Ashara is really a CIA agent? Really is. No, no, I'm not joking. I'm actually not joking. What if
Okay.
he really is a plant? Like, just imagine what if they put him on the list of the most wanted list in advance just to make his reputation bigger? You know, what if he is like actually an agent of the US or controlled by them? And so that's why they're so with him now in Syria. And they also made promises to Turkey, but they hope to keep them not too strong. Is it too much? What do you say? No, no, but seriously, what if it's real?
Okay, so let me answer, okay? Because when I'm starting, let me finish my thought, okay? So when we enter to the worlds of what ifs, there is infinite number of hypotheticals that we could come up with, and because nobody has proof against it, then there are possible because nobody can prove that you're wrong, right? But we can't take them seriously because there's infinite number of what ifs, right? So for example, I could say, what if Khamenei is a Mossad agent? What if Khamenei was in this at the beginning? He was always trying to free Iran, and he was always taking the most bizarre positions to topple the Islamic Republic. I mean, is that wild? Is that crazy? Yeah, but is it impossible? This is what we call an unfalsifiable claim. So I can't show that you're right, but I can't also show that you're wrong. There's no evidence that you're wrong. We call them unfalsifiable claims, and they're not very valuable because the chances of each one of them being true is low because there's infinite number of them that you could make.
No, but that's not what I asked. I didn't claim it. I'm asking, does it make the other parts fall in line? Does it make sense?
You
If
said
it
what?
was true, will it explain something about Trump or am I off?
So let me finish. Let me answer this, okay? I didn't say you claim it, but when you put it on the table, it's a claim whether you claim it or not. When you say what if, and then you put it on the table, it becomes a claim that we have to consider. So whether it's a claim by you or not, right? So I'm just saying that this, when you say does it fall into place with other things, it means you're basically asking, is there anything that contradicts it? Because if there's nothing that contradicts it, then you could make a case for it that it could be true. It's a what if statement. And I'm saying that there is no proof that you're right, and there's no proof that this is wrong. And that's basically the definition of an unfalsifiable claim. And we usually can't take these types of claims, what if scenarios, very seriously until there's an actual evidence showing that we should be taking it seriously. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes. So you don't think it makes for you? It doesn't make sense
For me, I would
emotionally.
take it serious.
No,
Well, I can't use it for this.
I'm
So
trying to
for
say
me,
maybe emotionally is not the right word. I mean, like it doesn't like ring a bell.
no, yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't. No, it doesn't. I think like
Okay.
usually conspiracies like these are too they're
Wide.
they're too they're too wide and too for us to actually take any of these seriously. There needs to be some evidence, right? If a conspiracy that crazy, even if it's true, it's very unlikely unless there's an evidence for it. So, for example, let me tell you something. Like even the beeper bombings of Hezbollah, right? If somebody told you, "What if this is what they're doing?" It would be more wise not to take it seriously until it actually came out that is what they're doing. Because if you had guessed that this is what they're doing, for example, you would have been correct by chance, not because you said something wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a person to actually even entertain conspiracy theories. So I'm actually,
It's fun,
and
but it's fun
I
to think
don't,
about. No,
no,
let me actually make a point for your case. They're fun. All right. This is why we spent a lot of time with the idea, not so serious idea, that Khamenei is a Mossad agent. Okay, so they're not. We shouldn't take them very seriously, but they're fun to think about.
I'm not an American. So no, we usually think like whoever betrayed like Bibi or something. We don't go this far. We don't go. But one other point, okay? I saw all the videos that come out from Iran when Iranians catch like the IRGC or whoever and like abuse them. And initially I thought, oh my God, that's not good. Why are they publicizing it? But then I think I got it. It's to put fear in the hearts of the rest of them.
Yes, yes, like yeah,
So
because they're using the IRGC is using it as fear as a weapon of war against the people. So the Iranian people need to use fear against IRGC as a weapon of war.
they need to sleep a little less quietly.
Come,
Their balls need to
yes.
shake. But the
Well,
question is, what is more strong of a result? This or a bad reputation of some people who will now claim, oh, look what the Iranians, those savages, are doing.
we have lost the privilege to worry about reputation right now. When we're dealing with them slaughtering us in the tens of thousands, our reputation is right now we don't have the luxury to care about that right now. We could care about that once the regime falls. And I think most people with anybody who witnessed what the Islamic Republic is right now doing to the Iranian people, I think if they judge the Iranian people right now, I think we shouldn't care about those people, our reputation among those people who don't understand what the priority is right now.
Okay. I hope that's not a Western mindset will be too different. I hope not, but I don't know. Who can say? They need to fear, right? It's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next we have Daniel Dome. And then if we have time, depending, Shy. And no more hands.
The first question, is there any football hooligans in Iran?
The hooligans, there are many people who are very, very passionate about soccer. By football, you mean yeah,
Yeah,
football,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, because of
yeah.
soccer. So they're very, very passionate about it. It's like extremely passionate about it, but never to the point that they cause like violence or anything like that. No.
Interesting. Why I ask it? Because one of the most popular and effective war unit in Ukraine are they call the Third Storm Brigade, and they have been known prior to the war as big football hooligans. Like they have all that football movement.
So no, we don't have anything like that. And we Iranian people, when it comes to their soccer, they're pretty civilized. They party a lot. They celebrate their teams a lot. Actually, right now they don't celebrate their soccer teams anymore. A lot of the soccer players in Iran haven't taken the side of the people, and many of them have actually taken the side of the regime. But the two that have the few that have taken the side of the people have turned into major, like, how the Iranian people love celebrity soccer players, and it was very disappointed to them that some of them didn't take the side of the people in this and the previous revolution. But the few that did became even more, like, popular among the Iranians. They like celebrate them even more. And two of the most important ones is Ali Dai and Ali Karimi, right? So these are that basically to, are continuing to support the people at a huge cost, by the way, especially.
So other question is like, do you have any like groups of people who are like, I don't know how to tell it correctly, but like more violent by nature, something like that, something like this.
Like a segment of the population that is more violent.
I don't know, like the gangs in the US, let's say, or like I don't know, like in Israel we call them arsim, but
No,
like
in Iran, the gangs in Iran, the gang is IRGC. Everything
mm,
everything that resembles a gang.
okay, so the model is kind of like in Russia. Okay,
Yeah, everything
well,
resembling a gang is basically a unit of IRGC.
yeah, I got you. And the Artesh, like the bases of Artesh or the IRGC are placed inside the cities or like in the desert.
Everywhere.
So basically, it's a possibility actually to go into a base. I just speaking from kind of experience because
Yeah,
in
but
Israel we
you can't go to a small base and get 20 weapons. You need to go into the warehouses and basically get like 5,000 or something.
yes and no. Look, like in Israel, we constantly have that problem where Bedouins are robbing the bases and like stealing 20 guns, 40 guns, 100 guns, like shit like this happens. So I'm just curious if it's a possibility in Iran.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we might actually be getting close to that point. So that might actually happen. So far, this regime has been gunning down people to the point where mm, people haven't been able to get the chance to get their hands on any weapons. But I think that in the next couple of weeks or so, we might be entering the phase that you're talking about.
Because what?
Last
Because
point
like
before we go to, because I want to see what Shai Lev has to
yeah,
say
yeah,
as well.
okay. Because like if in Israel it's a possibility, so I don't believe like in Iran they have like super trained guards who are standing on
The,
guard
the difference is that in Israel, the guards are not just going to start shooting into crowds of people.
yeah, well, yeah.
I'll make it super short so you can go, Armin. Thanks for everything you do. I want to
Thank you.
say that Trump acts very much like I would expect him to act. He's a cat, unpredictable, waiting for the right moment to strike. So keep fingers crossed. I think it's going in the right way. He's going to just try to figure out the best way to get rid of the IRGC and Ayatollah and free Iran. I believe that. I hope that. And just stay the course.